evening. And thank you so much for being here and being a part of this incredible opportunity for our students and concert that is sure to be entertaining and something that we'll remember for a long time to come. We are so very blessed this evening to not only get the chance to showcase our great students here at Hoover High School, but to share the stage with the Wind Ensemble from the University of Alabama. We're very grateful for their presence here and making this a joint venture, and hopefully some music making that all of you will really be able to take home and hold in your mind and your heart for a long time. So without any further ado, we will get things started. We're going to open the concert up with American Overture. At this time, we're going to make a quick set change and bring out the University of Alabama Wind Ensemble. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our stage Dr. Ken Ozello and the University of Alabama Wind Ensemble.
Several college degrees, I can figure this out. As I said, a doctorate in music is useless now. I'll just do this. How's that? Thank you very much for being here. Such a pleasure to be here. I am so jealous of this facility, I can't even describe it. It is beautiful, it has enough space, the acoustics are fantastic. You are so fortunate. So whoever is responsible to making this happen, bravo, because it is world class, beautiful. Good to be here and to get involved with the Hoover Band. I'm sure you know you have one of the best band programs in the country, and that is because of the outstanding instruction that you have and the great support that they get from the family and the community. So excited to be here to play for you and the students, and then we're going to put them all together for the big finale. One of the important elements of being a music major is something called chamber music, which is essentially small groups, because in small groups is when you learn the really detailed work, playing in tune, moving with each other, and those sorts of things. So while we are changing the set in the back, we're going to have a sextet of musicians from the wind ensemble play you two movements from a suite that they're working on. So give you an opportunity to hear them work in that medium. And again, this space is perfect for this. So this is the Alabama Wind Ensemble Sextet, and they're going to do two movements for you, two short movements. So here we go. Thank you. Next, I'm excited to introduce our Associate Director of Bands. We have a large staff at Alabama that works with all our various ensembles, and this gentleman has so much talent. He works with all of our groups. If you enjoy our $1 Million Band, he's an integral part of that. Teaches conducting, sought after clinician, and we've gotten into bidding wars with other schools with him, and we lost one year, but we got him back. So NIL is alive and flourishing even in the band business. But he's very well respected in our business, and I think you will enjoy his work here tonight. Please welcome our Associate Director of Bands, Professor Kevin Wellborn. we have one more piece for you, and I want to tie a short story into this. Anybody that's ever been to the campus at the University of Alabama see all these banners that say where legends are made. If you watch the football games and basketball games, you see commercials where legends are made. What not only happens on sports fields, it happens all over campus, and I want to relate the story to you. There's a gentleman that was the principal, which means the first horn of this organization for many years. And about a year ago, he auditioned for the United States Army Band, Pershing Zone, the one that's the premier band that's stationed in Washington, D.C. It plays for all the inaugurations and all the important events. And he won the audition, which is impressive in itself. But there was a stipulation. You won the audition, but you have to lose 100 pounds to take this job. 100 pounds. And we will give you a year to do it. But you have to lose 100 pounds and then go to basic training. That's not easy. That's not easy, losing weight and building strength at the same time. Well, the most exciting thing happened last week. He graduated from basic training in the Army, and he will start in the band next week. And he's actually here tonight, and that's Mr. Matt Meadows. How about a hand for Mr. Matt? And he said he had to pay $11 for that haircut. He did not get it for free. And immediately upon graduation, the first thing he did was to propose to Emily Johns, who is in the horn section now. And she said yes, so congratulations. So Matt is definitely a legend at the university because every day we would say, I wonder how Matt's doing in basic training. I wonder, we know he's going to make it, but we would ask about him every day. And it was kind of our version of American Idol. It was very excited. And we were happy to know that he was still alive at the end, and he did flourish. But we'd like to dedicate this last piece to both Matt and Emily. It has a beautifully romantic middle, just absolutely beautiful. And then the last movement's about slaying the dragon, and he certainly slayed the dragon, getting his weight where he needed it to be, and now he's going to be a proud member of Pershing Zone Army Band. So we'd like to dedicate Year the Dragon to both Matt and Emily.
true. We fit, barely, but we fit. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring back to the stage Professor Wilburn and the combined wind ensemble from Alabama and symphonic winds from Hoover. That last piece was entitled Dynamo, and it is a new work that was commissioned by Jason Fettig, who is the new director of bands at the University of Michigan, and it was a piece to commemorate the 90th birthday of H. Bob Reynolds, who is the retired director of bands at the University of Michigan, and somebody who is well known in the band world as being one of the great conductors, teachers, and clinicians. And so it was neat that we could play that work. It was just published this last year. And so next we're going to bring back to the stage Dr. Ensemble, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about the piece we're going to play next.
I'm dying to jump down there to see if I could just spring back up. Thank you. This next piece is an interactive piece. It's called Overture in 5 Flat. People read it real quickly and they think it says Overture in 5 Flats. But 5 Flats, our friend Julie Giroux wrote it with the idea that the piece should be played in 5 minutes flat. To get the timing just so it's 5 minutes. But then it started to get into a competition about, well, if it's not going to be 5 minutes flat, it needs to be less than 5 minutes. Then people, well, I did it in 4:45, or I did it in 4:40, so it just became a contest about how fast you could play it. So if you have a smartwatch or a device, when we play the first note, you can kick it off and see where we end up. This is a real technique buster. You will see, or you will hear how good of musicians you have here at Hoover, because we're playing it at the real tempo. We're not doing the training wheels tempo. We're doing it. You have great musicians here, and I think you'll enjoy it. So when you hear the first note, push start, and when you hear the last note, see where we end up. I think if I do it 5 flat, there's a BMW in it for me. I think. we play that. Man, I keep looking around here and I said, that person teaches here and that person teaches here. You have an all-star band faculty here. There's so many great. Of course, your support of the program is paramount, so congratulations, really. I spent last Friday and Saturday working with high school orchestras and bands at Carnegie Hall. And if you've ever been to Carnegie Hall, there are photographs, autographed photographs of all the famous artists and people that have spoken there. And one of my favorites is John Philip Sousa, and there was an original autographed photograph of John Philip Sousa there. And the way he used to sign his name is, he would not only sign his name, but he'd put the bars and the music staff on there, and he would write the introduction to Stars and Stripes Forever. So there was this original photo up there, and I tried my best with my pocket knife to get it off the wall. Just couldn't get it off. He also lived in Carnegie Hall. Years ago, that building was finished in 1891, so it's been around forever. But he lived in Carnegie Hall as well. So whenever I go up there, if I'm doing a band or anything, I really try to play a Sousa march to hope to conjure up the spirit of John Philip Sousa. But we're going to finish our concert with a Sousa march. Everybody loves Sousa marches. This is a particularly good one. Glory to the Yankee Navy, and we're excited that the conductor is the director of bands here. He has a terrific staff, but somebody, you have all this talent, and somebody has to put it in the right order and make it work, and Mr. Fitzpatrick does that. So let's welcome the mastermind of this whole program.